welcome to the Creative Constitution podcast. My name is Deborah Tamai and
Jazz Sebastian. That's me.
You're wonderful
Hi.
hosts. Today's episode is all about what it means to be a starving artist. Is it myth? Or is it something that is actually the case for most actors, most filmmakers, most creatives? That's the question for today's episode. It's going to be a biggie. What does it mean to be a starving artist? I mean, so often people are told if you want to be an actor, well, you better be waiting tables, or maybe you should just be dedicating your life to the craft. And if you're homeless on the side of a road no money in your pocket,
that's awesome.
That's actually a good thing.
And that's the path, and that's what happens, and that's how you get there, right?
Yeah.
It's like some sort of strange dogma where brainwashed into thinking is the way to get there. It's the path. It's the respected path. Or, you've got to live on baked beans and tuna cans in a tiny one bedroom loft for 3-4 years while slaving away in theatre school and performing on stage in small plays at random little pop-up things for no money, all whilst working a night shift at McDonald's every now and then when theatre school gives you a break. What's with that? What's going on with that?
Yeah, and I mean, personally, I don't really agree with the whole starving artist definition. I knew from the start that when I got into the creative arts, I didn't want to be that classic, you make no money, you have no money in your bank account, and you're living day to day, week to week, and you're trying to attend acting classes and whatever, but you're struggling to pay the bills. I didn't want to do that. I think, personally, I can't be creative if I've got stress on my mind. So imagine if I'm that traditional starving artist and I've got, $5 left in my bank account and I get an audition. Imagine the desperation you would have.
Yeah.
How different your self-tape would be.
And casting directors, without getting onto the whole casting thing again, but casting directors will see that.
I think they can smell it. They're like sharks and blood in the water.
They can see it, they can smell it, they can taste it. Wow. They can taste the fear when you walk into that room and play your cards. That's
I think that's so the case. So I really just wanted to be different.
Yeah.
I have a background in entrepreneurship and business and just, hustling. I'm a hustler.
Yeah, hustling.
And I did not want to do that. I didn't want to just come into the creative arts, be an actor that was broke. But hustling is important.
Yeah, it's like becoming slowly through perception, through my personal perception, which is it's a pretty big perception because I think both of us now are incredibly perceptive of this whole thing, how it all works. And we analyze everything. We're very interested, and that's why our perception is such a strong one now. And through that, I think you see the hustlers coming through in all the creative industries. More so than, again, we say sort of 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but it's true. It's really true. When you look at these, all the bridges and walls that used to exist back in the day to make it in the film industry, to make it in the music industry. The bridges were small and long and thin, and then there was a wall and there was labels and there was things. And now, because the barriers to entry are so small for exposure, to get yourself up there on YouTube as an actor, posting your content, your stuff you record at home, to try and put that in front of directors. The barrier to entry, to exposure, to being seen is so small now. There's no longer those same hurdles. So I'm finding through perception that the people that do that are proactive and hustle really hard.
Yeah.
And perhaps have learnt that skill from other things, not just necessarily someone who's wanted to be an actor since they were a kid, gone through theatre school with the horse blinders on and seen nothing else, learnt nothing else, experienced nothing else, and thought that they would get there that way.
Yeah.
The people that aren't so much doing that anymore, but are hustlers, are coming from other industries, such as yourself. Entrepreneurs that are finding acting or music a little later in life. They seem to be the people, again, through perception, that are doing really, really well in this generation of the arts.
And let's break that down. I mean...
Yeah, let's go into detail.
I think the thing that I realized when I came into the industry and I started meeting other actors is that a lot of them lack that grit that comes from like having experience in another industry. Like for example, in business, you're so used to failing because 99% of businesses fail and whatever, the statistics
Yes.
are huge. And like the majority of ventures fail. The same thing goes with even applying to jobs. You might have out of every 100 applications, you might only get one or two back that one interview.
They come in, and I think that success and that grit, as you pointed out, comes from not taking it personally. If they try something and it doesn't work, oh, this product didn't work. It's not like, oh, my product didn't work. I spent so long and I thought my product was special and I thought I had the product doesn't work. Okay, we got to go to something else.
Yeah.
We're going to something else this week. It didn't work. The statistics weren't right. I couldn't sell the product. It's that grit that comes from an entrepreneurial business background so please continue.
So with those job interviews, if you don't get whatever application that you submitted and you don't get it back, I mean, you don't really take it personally. But then when I came into the acting world, everyone seemed to take things personally, or like they were so much more emotionally attached to it.
Yes.
Or expected the complete, they thought that they were going to come in and be a success day one,
First company launch, first product, that was going to be the audition and the movie
exactly.
ticket.
So it was really interesting because then when I came into the industry and I started realizing that a lot of people weren't necessarily the hustler type, they just kind of were those classic creatives. It's like
get an agent, wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
Right?
But they were also just kind of the traditional definition of an artist. They spend time just like chilling. Essentially, they trust in their creative process and they kind of just live as an artist, which is amazing. Like, I think that's fantastic. But they don't have any ventures on the side, or they don't have a job that they might enjoy on the side as well.
Okay.
And I actually think that it helps as an actor, as a filmmaker, as a creator, to have something on the side where you're building other skill sets.
Yes.
Like, for example, I really think that my business side of my brain is so useful in this craft, because as a result, I'm able to almost design my headshots, my show reels, my business cards. Everything is kind of branded. I create a brand for myself within the creative industry.
Yeah.
And we saw this work really well for someone like Dacre Montgomery, who is known to have emailed agencies nonstop all throughout his university degree.
Like a door-to-door salesman.
Door-to-door
Again,
salesman.
that grit, that entrepreneurial grit, not taking being ignored or failure personally, but just looking at it like, I've got to sell this product, or I'm not going to pay the rent next week. I have to sell this product.
Yeah, exactly. So then he just ended up constantly like didn't let himself like stop emailing these people. And he stresses the importance of knowing about the business side of acting and filmmaking. So instead of just focusing on, I'm going to be the best possible actor and I'm going to learn all method acting and all these other kind of methodologies, and
they get into that mindset.
Into that mindset as a creative, but they don't get into it as like someone that understands why things work the way they do. So I think it's important for creators to have that balance and be able to have other hustles that can complement their creativity.
Interesting. Really interesting point. And again, for sustainability, to self-sustain, to survive, I think for character building and growth as a person, as an individual. Personally, I've had a lot of random jobs over the years, none of which I've really enjoyed. I'm in a good spot now, but still, it's like they're normal jobs.
They're temporary jobs.
As fine as they are, it's like, oh, I've got to be here. Why are you here? Oh, because like I need the money.
Yeah.
Also because those things are like good, but I wouldn't say it's enjoyable. Your time is still spent, helping someone else build their business, doing something very menial, very simple. You're not in your field of power. I don't know about yourself. Maybe maybe feel free to tell the guys at home a little bit about how you deal with the situation. But for me, it's like if I go to my normal job, I'm just very under the radar, I'm just funny, goofy, silly. I have no power and I don't want any power.
Yeah.
I'm not some guy looking for a promotion in some little trivial sort of side job to get an ego boost.
It's a means to an end, isn't it?
I go there, I'm jolly, funny, affable, but I'm a little ant because I don't need to be anything else, because when I'm in the creative world working on an album or working on a new role or, have a new idea for a film, that's when, we are gods. We are in our field of power.
Yeah.
So we don't need to get that from something else, which can be quite draining over time, being having yourself in a lower status mode temporarily when you go into those workplaces.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's perhaps good character building.
That's very true.
What do you think?
I think you get skills from all the jobs that you take, and I think obviously when I say you should have a hustle on the side, that doesn't mean you have to start a business, or everyone is different. So there's no one size fits all. If you can be a better actor because you work at McDonald's and that allows you to pay for the bills, so be it. That's going to be your means to an end for now, and eventually you'll get out of that. But at least you'll be able to focus entirely on creating a good creative product when that time comes. And then when you have success with an audition and you get that role, you just quit that job and you do what you need. I think that's really a lot better than the whole I'm gonna just be an artist.
Yeah.
Because that's just sometimes not sustainable.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the stresses come in. And that's where I think you might lose a bit of that natural instinct, that natural talent that you might have because you're worrying about something. It's like when you're stressed, you just can't give it the best work.
100%.
So that's why I think whether it's a job, whether it's a side hustle, whether you sell pictures on OnlyFans, it does not matter. It does not matter as long as...
I don't endorse that.
But some people do, and that's okay.
Is it? Well, I guess we have to say it is because it's YouTube, right?
But anyways, so when you have that job and you can sustain yourself with it, I think that's better. Personally, I've learned to sell a bit of my own services from skills that I've developed over the years. So, for example, I used to do a lot of consulting. And I managed to get a couple clients on my own just simply by emailing people. And eventually that got to a point where I would get enough sort of people coming back to me just asking for help. And even though that doesn't completely replace a full-time job or a job for that matter, it does allow me to get a little bit more playing room for cash. So then I can use that cash for films and for creating my own stuff. Amazing. In a way that's there's a lot less pressure. And you've done the same thing with developing your music.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you didn't have a job and you were going backwards. I mean, you were like that for a while.
I was, and that's why it was so slow. Stress. And that's why it was like one song a year. Because I was just in a constant state of not creative freedom because of that stress and that... So yes, your best work is not accessible. Your best performance and your best creative ideas aren't really accessible because they're only available once that stress and that sort of thing is gone, I've found anyway. Yeah. And then once you have a little bit more room to move and you can say, yeah, I don't mind dropping a couple of $100 on this, a couple of $100 on that, get that marketing done, let's get this art done, let's get this music video shot. And you're not like, oh, $300, oh, and then I'm screwed. That's break the bank.
Yeah.
Then I think, your work as an artist improves overall. Whether you're acting, you're a photographer, or you're singing, or
all
whatever.
of it, yeah. You're able to invest in yourself a lot more.
100%. You feel like you finally can invest in yourself, and the freedom to be able to invest in yourself and feel like, oh, I'm not going to go hungry or be in debt to the bank or something, that actually gives you more confidence to feel that, oh yes, I am good, because look, when I do invest in myself, great comes out. But if that wasn't a possibility in the first place, then you're in this perpetual cycle, I feel, of maybe I'm not worth investing in. Yeah. It's not. You are worth investing in. Your talent is amazing. Invest in yourself. But yeah, we all need that freedom to be able to do that first. and see what
Yes.
that feels like, and then see that that works, and we need to keep doing that.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to move the conversation to potentially the flip side, maybe. So we've heard stories.
What?
We've heard stories. For example, Sylvester Stallone, starving artist, only had like what, $8 in his pocket or something like that, and he kept taking all the he kept taking
Yeah.
the Rocky script
Yeah.
back and forth, to from producer
Sure.
to producer, director to director. He just tried everybody. And maybe that starving artist definition where you've got no money in his pocket was the thing that drove him to actually really put himself out there.
Look, this is really, really interesting because, again, if we delve into this, we can see why this starving artist thing has been romanticized and why it is pushed to us from such an early age. Personally, it was sort of pushed to me during high school. That's the magic would happen and the universe would, know that I'm special, and, I just had to keep at it and everything would freaking work out is nonsense.
I mean, I still believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of can when you look at certain incredible stories
Yeah.
with talented individuals such as
Sylvester
that.
Stallone.
And then we see, why is it being pushed? Why is it being romanticized? I'm not sure anymore. I understand why it was 20 years ago, because it was happening. If we take a look at the incredible Australian actor Heath Ledger, personally, this is what got me to lock myself into that path and that train of thought, right? Because I was searching up a lot of other actors at that time, and Heath Ledger was like my idol. He was like, I want to be Heath Ledger when I grow up. Like, he's the best and all this stuff. And I would learn his scenes and like reenact them perfectly and stuff.
Wow,
Be
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah, so cool. He's the best. Apart from the Brokeback Mountain, I never I never reenacted any of that in my high school years. That would be a little bit inappropriate. I'm sure there were some lovely boys at school that wish I had of, but it wasn't really the thing to do back then. So I looked into him, and from what I found, quit school at like 15, straight into like drama school and learning the arts, straight into the arts, agency, straight into an agency, straight into roles on small TV series and ads. Like, it was almost this picturesque, from what I read anyhow. It might be different now. If you wiki him now, it might be more detailed. But when I was 15, 16 and looking this guy up, this is the information that I found, and this is the information I went off, and that informed until I was early to mid 20s, the path I would take. And it just seemed like that was the only way, because this amazing Australian actor had made it that way in this incredible journey. He wasn't trying to be an entrepreneur or sell things or work at Macca's or have all these other side jobs or anything. It was just, I'm quitting school, I'm living my life, I'm leaving home, I'm joining an agent, I'm getting roles, and now I'm starring in movies. And it was like, and I'm just studying acting, and that's my craft, and that's it, and that's everything, and that's the world.
Yeah.
And it worked. And I thought, well, that's what I have to do. But it's like the more you grow up, the more you realize, well, that might work for like 0.1% of actors.
The obsessive types are usually the ones that make it work, I think.
But it's not really I think it's luck. It doesn't matter how obsessive you are, it's luck. There could be 20,000 Heath Ledgers in the making that did the same thing and tried, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you don't hear their stories. You only hear the one time where that route did pay off. You don't hear the 20, 30,000 times where it didn't.
That's true.
And now I feel like the hustler mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset and people that excel in these things coming into the creative sphere right now in this generation, they're the ones with the one up. They're the ones that are bringing in other skills and other talents that, it's
when
just
you think
unique.
about it, the people that come with other skill sets, I think they bring with themselves better mindsets than the existing, the artist.
A more balanced mindset.
A more balanced,
realistic mindset.
perhaps. And I think it's because when you are in another discipline, you tend to get taught a certain way, which is probably very different than, say, drama school. You know, you might get a much more logical point of view, or, you know, like if you study architecture, you're going to look at perhaps a character differently than someone who's just done drama school. It kind of gives you more layers in a way. I think they bring with themselves like a different mindset where you might think a bit more logical, or you might have a bit more of like a mathematical point of view. When you think about it, when I was at university and I was studying business and statistics and all these things, when I came into acting, I was like, okay, well, it's a numbers game. If I do 100 auditions, that's going to boost my chances than, say, if I only do 10. And if I email 100 agencies, I'll probably get 1 or 2 replies, max, like minimum, you know, and then all of a sudden your chances seem a lot better. So it kind of like allows you to think differently.
Yeah.
So if I were to dumb it down and I was like, okay, I'm an actor right now, when I started, I have 0 experience. I need to get a showreel together. What's the best way to get a showreel together? I'm going to do short films. In order to get short films, I need to do auditions. In order to do auditions, I need to send applications. Where do I send applications? You know, and then you just dumb it down and you kind of reverse engineer it. And that's kind of what I did. And then I was like, okay, if I want to get into 5 movies, I should probably send out at least 50 applications. And so you kind of do that and do that and do that. And then you do the same thing to directors and perhaps other crew members. And all of a sudden it's like numbers everywhere. You know that meme where the lady's just like surrounded by algorithms?
And even just a few can
That's how
can
people
be
look
really
at it
big.
sometimes.
It can feel really big, right? Even when
Oh,
you've done
yeah.
a social reach out, or you've done
Yeah.
a business related, you know, employ me, or let me join your agency, or
Yeah.
use me for your next movie. When you do one of those surge type reach out things, you even get 5 or 6 responses. Automatically, the wheels in your head are turning. Your creative juices like bang, bang, bang. Okay, this is working. This could work. I could network with this person. And it is, even though you might get a small return on your initial investment, it actually feels pretty big.
Yeah.
Like you could send 20 messages, you get 2 or 3 replies back that are interested in you. That's a great success. That's
exactly.
like a lot.
And imagine if you're like someone that's worked retail, you know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you bring those skill sets to the creative industry and you're like, wow, I can now talk to anyone, you know, I know how to influence people's decisions. Like, you know, if you can literally take someone and make them buy a t-shirt in a store, you can make someone really like you as an actor. And like all of a sudden it's like, wow, I have powers that a normal drama student might not have because I bring these skills from other things.
Yeah.
And then you realize that a lot of acting is just sales. Everything is just sales. Filmmaking, sales.
And
If you
everyone
want
acts.
funding for your film, you gotta sell that baby. If you want to get cast in a movie, well, your self-tape is the product that you are selling. You know, you are a product. And that's when the moment that you realize that as an actor, you are not just an actor, you are a product, and everything that you show on social media, everything that you show in your headshots, all that combines to make a product that someone's either going to buy or pass on. And having those skill sets from other disciplines is just going to make you a better product.
When you bring people into the acting world from other disciplines, again, through perception over the years, through much perception.
We're not experts on anything. This is just opinions.
I kind of am in this perception. I think 99% of everyone who knows the acting industry will agree. It is very split down the middle. So you've got your purist actors, old school, like we were talking about, the starving artists, major successes, you know, all throughout the acting industry. Half of them are that. The other half, other people, hustlers. Now, more so than ever. There's a lot of actors now that I know are lawyers before, you know, marketing, analyzing specialists, even people that were just in the military military people,
That's so
people that
useful.
worked in the medical field, and then decided they just want to do acting.
Yeah.
Like it's so mixed. And let's talk about we've talked about the sustainability hustle. Let's talk about the people that have come from these other specializations and sort of had a midlife flip where they want to get into acting, and somehow they have, and they've done it very successfully. And they've taken the jobs off all these purist actors out there that have been working their little butts off and had the horse blinders on since primary school and gone through theatre school. And then these, media marketing managers or whatever, online coaches, have come into the acting field and actually succeeded.
Well,
And now they're getting all these roles. Why is that?
well, it's an interesting one because I don't necessarily think that the purest actors are necessarily the best ones. Like I think it comes down to
Controversial.
very controversial, but I think the ones that come from a wide variety of backgrounds and all that, they just bring more interesting aspects to roles a lot of the time. But when you take a classic example, Gerard Butler, right? Lawyer before he became an actor.
Law-abiding citizen after that.
Law, exactly. And imagine what he could have brought to a role with a legal background.
At least 300.
Some guy goes to find an actor that's it's a movie about a lawyer. Well, this guy's a lawyer. Might as well audition him, right? He knows exactly what it's going to be like. And I think there's so many other examples of that where you've got people that come from other disciplines. And they're just like this onion that's just been like layered and layered and layered on top of each other, right? And then they can just bring so much more interesting elements to a role. Whereas someone that is just an actor
Just
or
copying
has
and then
just
pasting sort of thing. Just
seeing,
seeing, imitating, pretending. Which I've
Maybe.
done. I've done growing up. All actors do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the purist actors. And it's something not a lot of people like to admit.
Yeah.
But until you do something and you become actually proficient in a field and live that life, all you're doing is studying other people, understanding sort of what they're doing, and mimicking that and making people believe that you are that. It's pretending. It's that simple.
Well, acting is about making it real.
Yeah.
Well,
Seem believable.
I think in a way, maybe the reason why a lot of actors that became actors later in life sometimes do better than the ones that have studied it their whole lives is because they can bring an element of that real from whatever background they have. So a lawyer is able to be more real in a legal drama. A medical professional like a doctor or surgeon is going to smash Grey's Anatomy because they know how to hold a scalpel. They know how to talk medical lingo. Someone who's just come from the army is going to know a hell of a lot more than an actor that's just gone to drama school and has an audition for an army-related role. I mean, I
100%.
think that's where it all kind of adds up.
And look at this specific things you've described there, military, doctor, law. This stuff, to train an actor to proficiently portray these things takes time, right? It takes money.
Yeah,
if you're
money.
training for a military role, you better go and do all your stunt courses and your weapons firearm training and have all that stuff up to date. If you're going on Game of Thrones, you better have your sword fighting stuff up to par, and you better have your horse riding skills and you better have those qualifications.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you've got the scuba diving stuff. You can be
Hell
like
yeah.
a scuba diver instructor.
Yeah.
So all of the sudden, people with those real qualifications that have done that as a job in the past or are proficient in those skills, that's going to be a major boon. Are they going to get the most, I'm special actor, I've only done this and nothing else? Or is a production company going to say, oh, great, but this person, whoa, all of a sudden they're so much more attractive because we're going to save months on training.
Yeah.
Production budget. It all of a sudden they're not spending all this money. They're not spending all this extra time training, teaching. So the people with these real
Exactly.
skills all ready to go or already have 5 years as a medical practitioner or a nurse, wow.
I know,
they're going to be the
exactly.
first ones looked at. And if they're really, really terrible, and if they really can't act, then maybe we'll drop back and we'll look at the person with 5 years of NIDA, special elite program. But now more than ever,
Exactly.
the people with the skills are really
And I
getting
think it really comes down to the business again, I think if you take anything away from this podcast, it's to have a look into the business of film. Everything really comes down to money. If you're able to create a product of yourself where you have like 20 different skills,
value to offer.
all of these different things you can add, you just add more value, and a production loves value.
And save the production costs.
Save the production
offer
money.
more value. Offer more value, save them costs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And with that, I think that's a great place to end this podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this.
I feel like we could go forever on this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered a lot. And
We
hopefully, guys at home, this has been really useful. I know this is probably needing to be heard by a few of you out there. Which way to go, starving artist? Is it necessary, or should I focus on building other skills and side hustles and things?
Yeah.
And so hopefully it is helpful. Hopefully all this information sort of starts the conversation, even if you don't agree with everything we've said. Hopefully it starts a conversation in your mind to talk to others that are living and breathing it and have experience as well, and see how this thing works and what's happening at the moment. And hopefully that starts the conversation. It gets juices flowing. It gets you guys proactive and aware, and saves you time, saves you disappointment, and gets you in a good headspace.
100%. We'll see you in the next one.